You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. ChrisVossShow.com. For 16 years, over 2,000 episodes of you in the Chris Voss Show. And we're just committed to bringing you another 16 years. So we're going to do this for 32 years, and then we're just going to quit. I don't know. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. I don't know. We just love this doing this. Anyway, guys, we have an amazing show today. As always, go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss One, the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. Today we have Justin Guarini and Kim Walsh Phillips, founders of the Elite Speakers Network, on the show with us today. We're going to be talking to them about what they do, some of their insights, their experience, the crazy stuff they've done through life that have gotten them here professionally, and all that good stuff. So we'll be getting into it. Their Elite Speakers Network and their joint partnership empowers entrepreneurs to entertain their way to impact and income by becoming highly paid keynote speakers, which is better than being lowly paid keynote speakers. I should know. No, I'm just kidding. Justin is an entertainment veteran known for his breakout role on season 1 of American Idol, and as a 7-time Broadway principal performer. He helps craft unforgettable performance with his clients. Meanwhile, best-selling Kim Walsh Phillips, who has generated over $1 billion in revenue for celebrity clients like Kevin Mr. Wonderful O'Leary from Shark Tank, and best-selling authors Dan S. Kennedy and Mike Michalowicz, creates revenue-driving talks and marketing strategies for their clients. Together, they combine their expertise to empower entrepreneurs to evaluate their brands and scale their business through the power of the stage. Welcome to the show, Justin and Kim. How are you?
Look, I got to say, before we talk about anything, and I think I can speak for Kim when I say that is probably one of the most impressive intros in any podcast
ever.
Ever.
Thank you. I know you guys have done a lot of podcasts, so that means something.
Well, and also we specialize in how to entertain your way to income and impact, and that's how you do it.
Yeah, you got to entertain the people. That's how that's why we're still here, I suppose. Somebody still likes us entertaining them. Maybe I just like entertaining myself, and that's really what it's all about. I just love the egotism of doing a show, and I'm just kind of like, I'm just here. It's all for me. But I learn more from our client, our guests that we have on the show than sometimes our audience. I think I get off the show and I'm like, I'm pretty much sure I learned more from our guests than what our audience did, because I got a lot of great data out of it. And hopefully you do too, audience. Listen along. So guys, give us your .coms. Where can people find you on the interwebs?
Yeah, amazing. So we have a business called the Elite Speakers Network, and it's just elitespeakersnetwork.com. And then we run a weekly free workshop where we are going to dive into a lot of stuff we're going to talk about today. Mm-hmm. And you find that at speakandgrowrichworkshop.com/podcast.
There you go. Speak and Grow Rich
Workshop.
GrowRichWorkshop.com, right?
Yeah, /podcast.
/podcast. And then you guys have the podcast as well.
We do.
Yeah.
There you go.
Scale Fast podcast. And
what's it called again?
The Scale Fast podcast.
Scale Fast. You definitely want to scale fast, because scaling slow is boring.
Yeah.
It takes too long.
And then there's one thing we don't want is boring.
That's true.
That's true. Boring doesn't sell well, which explains, I don't know, the first half of my life. Anyway, so guys, give us a 30,000 overview of Elite Speakers Network and what you guys do there.
We empower entrepreneurs to grow their business by getting on stage. Mm-hmm. So while there's a lot of speaker coaches out there, what makes us different is it combines Justin's 20 plus years of entertainment background, my 20 plus years of generating over $1 billion online, and combines it into creating an effective talk that you get booked as a high level, well-paid keynote speaker, and you use that as a strategy to grow your business.
There you go. Justin, did you want to throw in on that?
Oh, no. I mean, I think that's the 30,000.
She got it.
And I can't wait to circle in and talk more about how we do that and why we love it so much.
There you go. Now, Justin, you were on American Idol and you've done Broadway shows, so you know what it's like to be on stage. How is it transitioning from that and using your celebrity to elevate your status as a keynote speaker and helping others achieve the same?
Well, what I love is that a lot of people who are clients, people that we interact with, love to come up and say, "Oh, you are just so lucky. You have that X factor. You were born with the gift of gab. You were born to be on stage." And I think maybe you could have some insight on this, Chris, too. Like, no one is born to do any of that. No one is born to sit behind a microphone like you have. No one's born to be on camera on stage. It's a learnable skill. And Kim and I did the same exact thing. And I just decided from a very young age that was the skill set that I wanted to focus on. It took me to American Idol in front of 30 million people. It took me to 7 Broadway shows. It took me to commercials all across America playing Lil Sweet, the Dr. Pepper character. It takes me every single which way I've gone in my entertainment career. And yet there's always this desire to evolve, to grow, and to scale. And I realized I was singing one night actually in Wicked on Broadway, and I just realized, oh my goodness, coming off the stage, even though I was in front of 1,200 sold out crowds, like 1,200 people every single night, like I'm just an hourly wage worker. If I get injured, I don't have any stake in the show, right? I'm just going to be replaced by somebody else. And so I had spoken on stages before. I had coached actors. I had coached entrepreneurs on how to get on stage. But it was in that moment that I realized, to answer your question, that there was a bigger space for me to play in. Yes, I still am in the entertainment space. I work for Disney now and doing voiceovers for cartoon work. But I have really transitioned on helping people. Like, how do we as entrepreneurs, as business people who are used to one-on-one work or used to just referrals or being that best kept secret, how do we really get on stage and deliver an engaging, exciting, entertaining performance? And so that's what I've just been really passionate about doing. And then Kim came along into my world with her ability to really capture people's message. And so from a performance aspect, it's like there's a couple of key things just to give you some actionable items. When you're speaking on the stage, when you're speaking, I don't care if it's a Rotary Club or if it's a big convention, one of the things you want to do is set yourself up as the authority, right? There's a reason why you have that amazing introduction, right? Because it sets your whole show up. Well, it's the same thing that we do on the stage. We have a sizzle reel. We specifically ask for people to play a sizzle reel that we put together ourselves, by the way, based on all the stuff that we've done, the video, the audio, all of that. And it just sets us up as that authority. We don't sit out in the audience, for example. Even if we're, I've been at a Rotary Club, Princeton Chamber of Commerce. I didn't sit out in the audience. I entered from the back, just like all the big speakers.
What?
It's those little tweaks and those little things that I love to help people with when it comes to stagecraft and stage performance that sets you up as that authority, so that when you deliver your message, people are way more open to hearing it and seeing you as that leader, that thought leader.
There you go. And one of the things about being an actor is there's stagecraft to it that is a lot the same with being a speaker. You're telling a story technically. There's timing, there's how you deliver it. I owned a modeling and acting agency that used to send a lot of business to Touch by an Angel in Utah for about 6 years. And so I would work with my actors, and they would show me and teach me part of their craft on how they would deliver stuff. And sometimes it's not just about what they're saying, it's about how they're saying it, how they're delivering it. So, Kim, you've worked with some of the biggest names of entertainment, like Kevin, Mr. Wonderful O'Leary in Shark Tank. Everyone knows him, I think, at this point. Danny S. Kennedy. What's the secret to identifying the right market and crafting a message that resonates powerfully so that it turns someone into an in-demand speaker?
I have this crazy reputation of being very ROI based. So one of my favorite quotes is, "In God I trust, everyone else bring data." And that's how I have some of the most ROI driven clients in the world. When you think about Shark Tank, Kevin, Mr. Wonderful O'Leary, he's the ROI guy. And Dan Kennedy, another one of my clients was Mike McAllowitz, who focused on profit first. So how does that connect with the work we do? Well, everything is about driving ROI. There are a lot of speaker coaches out there that are about like just telling your story or just getting you on the stage. For us, it has to be about driving your business forward. So the way you do that is you decide who is my exact perfect right fit client. Who is that person I absolutely love working with? And if I could duplicate that client over and over again, I would. Then you uncover what is that person's number one problem and how do they describe that problem in a way that it feels like you're reading their mind when you talk about it. You want to make your talk using the words of your audience, not the way you talk about it in your industry. So for example, we have a client, Howard Globus, and he's in the IT and cybersecurity space. And a lot of cybersecurity guys will talk about don't get your computer hacked. But let's be frank, none of us woke up with that on our top 10 list to think about. Our computer getting, right? Like we're like, let me go get a latte and get off.
Let's do that. Yeah.
Right? So what we did with him was we dialed in on who he is as a human. He's a credible, dry sense of humor. So we pulled that into his talk. Then we went after who's his right fit client. It's a financial advisor. Then we focused on what do they care about? Well, they have this whole new regulation happening in their industry that could cost most financial advising firms $1 million. And he has a hack people can use to save a ton of money. So we made the topic all about the growth of those financial advisor firms because that's what they care about. So you lean into who you actually are, who you want to work with, and you simply talk about a problem that they care about in order to have a talk that attracts your right fit client.
Solving problems. That's what that's entrepreneurism. That's what everybody's trying to achieve in life, trying to get done, and all that good stuff. I mean, it really is something that as an entrepreneur, that's what you do. You try and solve problems, and to make an in-demand speaker, finding problem points that everyone is really popular with, makes all the difference. Let's talk a little bit about both of you guys because we like people to get to know the authors as well, and speak and guys, folks who come on the show. Tell us both on each of you, kind of how you grew up, maybe what influenced you in chasing the fame that you went after, and when you first started noticing you're good at it, and kind of what got you down that road.
Okay. I think I went to a Montessori school when I was young, and one of the teachers.
So fancy pants.
Is it very fancy?
It's very fancy.
I think you just pulled a rank on all of us.
I really did, but okay. Well, look, my mom was one of the first anchor women on CNN.
Yeah,
and my father was the first African-American chief of police of Atlanta. So I grew up around.
So he's got a pedigree, people.
I grew up around all that stuff.
He was born with a silver spoon. CNN. Who is your mom on CNN? We've had a lot of people from CNN on.
She used her maiden name. It was Kathy Pepino, Pepino. And that was like 1982.
And I would say not silver spoon, but there were high expectations for him from the very beginning.
Very high expectations. And so one of the teachers, in the way that only a Southern teacher could, said to my parents, that boy can carry a tune in a bucket. And so from there, my parents were like, all right, well, let's see what happens. And they had me audition for the Atlanta Boys Choir at age 4. And I was accepted. And so I was this little boy soprano, and just music was a huge part of my life. But the catalyst for me that really said, I want to be a performer. Yes, I grew up around politics. I grew up around famous people. I just grew up around all the lights, the cameras, and all that. But it was 1986 or 84. I think it was 84. And it was the Jackson's Victory Tour. So the Jackson 5 as adults got back together to do a tour around the world. And so in Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, 1986, it was 1984, a 6-year-old me was enthralled by the lights, the smoke, the costumes, the choreography. I mean, the music, everything was so amazing. And in one moment, I remember pointing to the stage as this throng of people were around me, and everybody was losing their minds over this amazing stage show. I pointed to the stage and I said to myself, I want to do that. And then I spent the rest of my life really working in choirs, in singing, acting, dancing until around 2002, when I found myself on American Idol, going all the way to the finale where I duked it out with Kelly Clarkson, going on tour, and then looking up as I was being lifted on an elevator and seeing this rectangle cut out of the floor that I was being slowly lifted up into with smoke effects pouring in. And as my head cleared the stage, 30,000 people were screaming for me on the tour that we did after American Idol around the country. And I recognized, oh my goodness, I am living out the dream of that 6-year-old boy. There you go. And the best part for me is twofold. At that moment, I also realized, I hope that somebody else in the audience is pointing at me and saying, I want to do that, because that's legacy for me. And then the fact that all these years later, I'll be 46 this year, that I get to then take my almost 46 years worth of entertainment and performance and experience at a high level, and then pass that on to people who are having products and services and looking to create value in their communities, in their countries, in their world. And so that's awesome for me in a nutshell.
There you go. Well, you've got to top that, Kim.
I'll try.
Good luck.
Thank you. I'll take this one.
What preschool did you go to? Elementary school?
I fell in a well when I was sick. No, I'm just kidding.
Wasn't Montessori then?
Yeah,
it's a pretty awesome story too. Though,
I started with public relations, and I one day had a client come, someone I worked with I worked for a nonprofit, and she came to me. She said I should own my first business, and she wanted to be my first client, and it was amazing. And I started my PR and events business that way, but I was struggling really bad. And this one time, I literally hawked my engagement ring in order to make payroll because things were that bad.
Wow,
and
that's committed though.
It was committed, and I was going to take care of my people no matter what. But I knew I needed to do something different. And I reached out to a friend of mine who had a very successful business and still had time for his kids. And I said, what are you doing? And he said, I am leveraging the power of the stage. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, listen, Kim, you don't have to spend time generating leads, right? You don't have to spend time building your brand because the event already did it for you. All you need to spend time doing is creating a talk and perfecting it. I was like, oh, God, where's it? And so I did. I did my first talk, and I made an offer. And I afterwards, I was crying in my car because I had closed 80% of the room. Wow. And it was the first time in my life that I felt like I was finally in control of my business. And I got obsessed. I used this strategy to grow my first company so far that I was able to sell it. I'm one of the top 1% of all marketing agencies of all time that can sell their agency at an exit. And then I started my next business, and using speaking, I was able to grow it to the Inc. 5000, number 475 in just 3 years. And then the pandemic happened.
Oh, those pandemics.
Yeah, and all those in-person events that I was depending upon were gone overnight. So we pivoted, and I started creating my own. Instead of waiting for someone else to make a stage for me, I created my own virtual workshops, and I started filling it using this audio app called Clubhouse at the time. And that's where I met Justin, and I invited him to be an MC for one of our virtual events. While he's in the green room, not on stage, I noticed, I'm like, what are you doing? And he said, I'm actually working on my coaching bit. Like, your coach? The day I'm like, okay, we need to talk. I can help you with that. He becomes a client of mine, and then we start working together. He starts coaching some of my clients. We said, you know what? This is a crazy story, Chris. We ended up being on Bravo's Below Deck Sailing together. And while we're on the show, most people are just going and like eating the food and drinking the drinks. We end up coaching everyone on the show.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
By the way, like, I'm the one who has the quote unquote celebrity, but she's the one who invited me on the TV show, by the way, just so you know.
Yeah. And so we ended up coaching all these people on the boat. And the producer pulled me aside and said, you guys have something here you should develop.
Definitely.
The captain of the ship ends up becoming a client. We launched our business that day, and we've just grown this really cool company that takes. I mean, I was in theater. I used to be on the speech team. I wrote for the magazine in my, school newspaper, all thing. And it kind of takes everything that is both of our gifts and lets us do it. And we get paid to do this.
Like, you get paid for it? What?
World. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's amazing.
It's a good deal. I like that. I like getting paid for stuff. It helps keep the bills happy.
Yeah, it does. What? The bank doesn't take "I did good today" as payment.
No,
so we require.
I've tried.
Yeah, I have to have that because I'm a Raiders fan, and so I lose a lot to the bookies, and I own.
I understand that.
I own millions at this point from 19.
Someday.
Someday they're going to win.
Optimism is the key to life. So
I just quit betting it all on red. Anyway, so this has been exciting, guys. It sounds like you've both been on journeys through life that have helped shape you, helped to impact you, and now you've reached a point where you can give back to others and share your knowledge. I talk a lot about the show. You mentioned earlier, Justin, people don't, this isn't something you're born with, to be entertaining. I'm assuming I'm entertaining. When I grew up, I was a very quiet, introverted person. I know it's hard to imagine. Most of my friends are like, seriously? We've got to see video of this because it's hard to believe. You never shut up now. But I grew up that way. And then when I started my first company, I realized I really had to communicate. I was kind of a people watcher most of my life, and I had to communicate and lead people, and I had to do that through, being entertaining, speaking, motivating people, getting people excited, and whatever vision I had for my companies and stuff, or whether you're just being a speaker for your vision of how you see the world, or whether you're an author. And so I developed that skill. So, just like you said earlier, Justin, that you can develop this skill. Yeah. Influence is what we're talking about today, and it's crucial in both entertainment and speaking. Justin, how do you captivate and convert audiences from the stage and what are some tips you can share with listeners to do the same?
Well, captivating and converting an audience from the stage starts with really just grounding yourself. It starts with being able to get up and feel comfortable in your own skin up there. Now, I will say this. If you feel nervous before you go on the stage, before you go maybe sit behind the microphone, run
as fast as you can.
Don't. Now, if you feel nervous, even just thinking about getting up in front of a small, large, whatever number of people, I just want to be the first to tell you, congratulations. You're a human being. Everyone feels that. If the day I don't feel nervous before I go in front of a Broadway audience or step on the set of a TV or commercial show, whatever. I mean, the day I don't feel nervous is the day I'm going to hang it up, because it means I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We get nervous because we want to do a good job. We want to be seen as the expert. We want to make sure that we give the most amount of value. I mean, all these things. But at the end of the day, when it comes to influencing an audience, it's actually really, there's some simple things that you can do. Because way back in the day, when the caveman was walking around and it was raining outside, and the caveman was like, I got to find some place to get out of this rain. And the caveman saw a cave. What's the first thing that caveman did? Looked and judged. Is there bones around? Is there animal fur? Am I going to be safe going into this place? Mm-hmm. And I know we love to say, "Oh, I don't judge a book by its cover." I don't know, but that's not true.
We do. We are so judgy. We're so judgy.
We're so judgy.
So when you show up, for example, Chris, and you've got this really professional microphone, not just the professional microphone there, but with what we call in the industry a flag on the back there that has your logo on it, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have what looks to be a branded hat. You've got this background behind you. Everything about what you're showing up with screams, I'm a professional. Screams, I have taken care. Now,
what do I have them fooled?
Oh, yeah, exactly. But that's the thing.
That's the thing.
You could be on episode number 1 and showing up like that.
You look like a professional.
And you would look like a professional. Mm-hmm. So that leads me to my point. There are little things that we can do when it comes to virtual backgrounds, when it comes to being in a virtual space like this, to just make sure that we present ourselves as an authority. I won't go too deep into it, but I'll say this. You have a great virtual background. It's awesome. it speaks to exactly what your show is. I mean, literally.
Are you
what your
using a
show
green
is.
screen?
Yep. Green
That
screen.
you can tell. That's the huge difference there.
Yeah, and it's really
It
important,
looks really good.
right? When you use a green screen like that, the computer is much more easily able to cut you out of the background, right? And to separate you from the background. And so a lot of people will use schlocky backgrounds. Just be super careful about the colors that you wear, making sure they're not the same, make it easier for the computer. If you're not going to use a background, which is totally fine, make sure that the space you're in is clean. Right? Make
clean.
sure that if you were to take a picture of it, that and examine every little thing in it, does everything in the background speak to your brand? Yeah. Does it speak to an authority positioning? Is it a messy bed? No, shouldn't be, right?
But we can't tell you how many times people have gotten on to do a talk.
Yeah,
like, sorry, I'm in a hotel room. Like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
We're in a conference space right now. We still find a way to make it look professional.
Yeah.
Like,
good for you guys. We need that. Please, for the love of God, spread that message.
So you know what we're talking about. People show up with schlocky things all the time.
Yeah, there's no anytime people show up and they go, I'm in a hotel room, I'm like, oh God. But they're usually top journalists that are on the road, so we give them a little bit of slack.
No way to make it professional, though.
There's still a way to make it professional. It is easier now more than ever. And the last thing I'll say is just, obviously you want to think about what you're wearing. Everything should, the point is, everything that is visual about what you do should speak to your brand. Who you are. You don't have to show up in a 3-piece suit if that's not your brand. But if it is, you better show up in a 3-piece suit with a little pocket square, right? And so when it comes to the visual aspect, I mean, it is so simple to be able to show up looking good, having great lighting, great sound, and a great visual presence. That is the foundation and one of the foundational elements of being able to captivate, show up as an authority, and then begin the process of converting your audience from stage, both on a physical stage and a virtual stage.
There you go. Yeah. Any tips you want to throw in, Kim, on top of that? That was a lot.
I love for when you are focused on one person, like think about this, Chris. When you got the best advice, can you think about, actually not the best, just think about a piece of advice you got. Maybe it was starting your podcast from somebody that really helped you. Did you get any good advice from somebody?
Trying to think. It's been so long, 16 years, I forget. No, I can't. I'm sure there was somewhere in the
business advice you've ever gotten or life advice you've ever gotten that stayed with you.
The stuff I wrote about in my book, the business advice of getting Zig Ziglar's Secrets of Closing the Sale was a big help.
Okay, good. The person who suggested that to you, do you remember what they did with their hands while they told you that advice?
No, I think they had them around my throat that I should go order the book.
Yeah, right.
No, I was going to be fired, so I was like, here's some money, go order this book or read this book.
So that's the thing. All of us had a point, a message, a story, a piece of advice that was given to us that made all the difference in the world. And while he and I are big on your poise, your performance, your background, the thing that's most important is your message, because that's the thing that's going to change people's lives. So if you hone in on the right market and the right message, that's how you effectively communicate. So example, one of our clients is a financial advisor, and there's so many financial advisors out there. And they all want to talk about how to retire early or how to not to change your lifestyle and have like they all say the same thing. So we were working with one of our clients, Scott Plaskett, and he's a financial advisor. But when we dialed in, he's like, okay, the people I really love working with are business owners. And we're like, okay, well, what do they want? He's like, they want to sell their company someday. Like, great. That's now your talk. How to sell your company someday. And we're going to focus on what are the financial indicators that you need to decide how much money do I need to sell my business for and what do I need to do in order to accomplish it. That became his talk because it was based on what he wanted to accomplish, right? That makes him an instant authority because now his talk makes him stand out from everybody else. And on his first talk, he landed 2 clients that were over 6 figures each. Wow. Just by nailing the topic and the target and focusing on that.
Nice. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
And what about going on podcasts? Do you guys see a lot of clients you pick up doing podcast interviews? That's very popular these days.
It's amazing by honing in on who our market is and
Mhm.
connecting with podcast hosts that make sense for us to go on. We've had incredible opportunities from a lot of the podcast hosts have become client of ours because that matches our market.
Yeah.
People who want to get in front of more of an audience. They've sent amazing clients to us, and we've had people reach out that have heard us on the show. So for us, podcasting makes so much sense. And for all of our speakers, it does, because every time you're going on a podcast, it's another chance to perfect your talk. You're going to be bringing up different stories, different concepts, working on your presentation. It's an amazing way to grow as a speaker.
Definitely, most definitely. I totally agree. So you talk about tapping into income before, during, and after a talk. Can you break down how a speaker can maximize their earnings at every stage of the presentation?
Absolutely. So before the talk, that's what we call the keynote speech talk fee, right? That's when you're going to get paid to take the stage. And you want to think of your range being anywhere from 2,500 to typically 25,000. And the way to get paid the most money is by giving them a price that you want and not apologizing for it after you say it, and making sure then you have a performance that warrants that kind of fee. And then during is when you make an offer from the stage.
Oh.
We love to make an offer that we call an easy yes offer. That's something that is easy for people to say yes to because it doesn't take a lot of time and it doesn't take a lot of money. And then there's after. That's when you're going to offer a free gift from the stage, and then you're going to use the new leads to generate clients. Or it could be that you turn those easy yes offers into bigger clients. So, for example, Justin and I did a talk earlier this year. We got paid $15,000 to do the talk. We made an easy yes offer on the stage. We made $165,000 live during the event.
Wow.
And since that talk, we've made $1.2 million from that same audience. So
Nice.
you look at before, during, and after to generate income on and off the stage.
There you go. That's some great income to take and do just for being on the stage and doing it.
Absolutely.
I think some people look at, well, are they going to pay me to speak? There's some people that they don't want to pay to speak, or they don't want to pay a minimum fee to speak. I mean, I suppose you need to, when you look at those things, you look at, how much can I make on the offers that I'm going to make on stage and clear. Do you ever turn down, offers? I mean, imagine if you can validate that they're not going to pay you and they're clearly don't have an audience for you that rocks or a sizable enough thing to scale. I don't know.
Sure.
How do you assess that and look at that, I guess?
Well, to answer the last question first, if they clearly don't have an audience for you, then you shouldn't be doing the talk.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. I mean, that's it. It's one thing. Okay, I would say maybe the exception of the rule is like if you're purely a motivational speaker, then you have a very broad audience. I mean, you should niche down, but you can speak to a broad audience. But then what we like to say is that highly paid elite keynote speakers never discount. Never. You set your price. Anything below $2,500, and they're not going to take you seriously. They're not going to see you as an elite keynote speaker, right? That just is the way it is. Now, look, you might say your price, let's say it's $15,000, $20,000, and the person who you're talking to says, well, I'm sorry, we don't have that in our budget. Instead of saying no, which is what a lot of people will do, or, well, this is my price, and then there are ways that you can work with them. And this is why we talk about before, during, and after, because when you have more options in your arsenal to be able to monetize an audience, to be able to monetize a speaking engagement, then you can begin to say, okay, well, you can't pay my speaker fee, but I do have a book that I've written and I require this many purchases of my book in advance. Or you can't necessarily pay my speaker fee, but you can pay X amount of my speaker fee, and I would like to be allowed to make an offer of my product or service from the stage. I would like to be able to do it that way. And that is part and parcel what we did with the speech that Kim just mentioned. And so there are various ways that you can get around the idea of not being paid what your fee is. Again, if they have like sponsorship booths, okay, well, you can only pay $5,000, but my normal fee is $25,000. Go ahead and pay that $5,000, but I'd like that other $20,000 to come in the form of a sponsor booth where I'm able to bring my team there and we're able to have conversations with people after I get off the stage, those kind of things. So being able to be flexible like that allows you to not fall into the trap of, oh, they can't afford me, so I guess it's not worth my time.
There you go. There you go. So let's talk about some of the offers that you guys have on your website and how those work. Talk to us about some of these things that I see here. There's a celebrity speaker blueprint, the network, in-demand boot camp, intensive speakers VIP, elite speaker circle. Talk about some of the different offers people can find on your website.
So when it comes to growing a profitable business, we say your entire business should be able to fit in the palm of your hand. If you want to think about it that way, it's a triangle. At the very top of your triangle is your most profitable, most enjoyable, exact right fit client. We call this whole thing the apex. The very top is your apex, Allie, or Alex. So that's a person you work with at the very top. And at the very top of our apex is our elite clients who work with us one-on-one. They invest cash up front. We get a percentage of all the profits we generate. So that's that very top end. But most of our clients are in what we call the Elite Speakers Network, where they, for $99 a month, we are coaching them each week on performance, persuasion, introducing them to network industry leaders, and bringing to them strategies they can use to create their talk and get booked on the stage. And we get to have this huge, awesome group of people that we can coach on how to do the exact thing we love doing. And then we have the time and money freedom to be able to go speak on stages because we also are full-time keynote speakers, which is awesome.
There you go. There you go. So doing the speakerships can really help turn your revenues. If you're, who are the best? I'll imagine anybody, but who are the best proponents for, taking advantage of these speaking sort of techniques and strategies?
We found all like our folks all were in some kind of theater or performance back in the day. They were in school plays. They were in the choir. They were in the band. They had a radio show. They did a podcast. They were cheerleaders. They were on the debate team. They played in the band. Like, these are our people, and they liked being in front of an audience. They liked performing. They own a business now, and they want to use the power of speaking to get in front of others. So I just described to you our Apex Alex. That's who he is, and that's who we work with.
There you go. There you go. So give us your final pitch out to everybody as we go out on how they can onboard with you guys, reach out, see if it's a good fit, get to know you guys better, et cetera, and any offers that you have that you're offering. I notice on the website there's a offer there for some free gifts.
Yeah, absolutely. So our favorite free gift to give is an actionable free workshop we do every single week where we give all of our information away and we live action coach on exactly how to do what we're saying to turn your expertise into a talk that gets you to land stages as a keynote speaker. And you find that at speakandgrowrichworkshop.com/podcast.
There you go. Justin, thanks for coming on the show. And Kim, we really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having us. You're an awesome interviewer, and it's been a lot of fun.
Thank you. And does any more .coms we want to share with people to find you guys in the interwebs and get to know you better?
That's good. We're good. Thank you so much.
Sounds good then. Thanks to our audience for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, and all those crazy places on the internet. Check out EliteSpeakersNetwork.com and check out the wonderful gifts they have over there and some of the great ideas and change your future and what you're doing, especially those of you who have written books. If you've written a book, you should really be out speaking. That's my opinion. So there you go. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe, and we'll see you guys next time.